Hi, Markus.
Hello, Elizabeth.
Before jumping into the topic, I think we have to speak about your white book and your new website. Do you want to present it?
Yeah, so my ebook, Customer Value-Led Growth, it's basically it sums up all my perceptions and experiences and insights about customer success in SaaS companies. So one important thing to me is that customer success, in my opinion, is not the responsibility of a single team. So customer success to me is one thing is it's an outcome. Customers buy your product because they want to become successful. And that automatically makes everybody that works for the company part of customer success. And that's a big mind shift. And I think that's the big mind shift SaaS companies need to complete today.
Exactly.
Why? The simple reason is there are so many competitors in every space, and the level you compete on today, it's customer success. Everybody can copy your product, everybody can copy your content, but one thing they can't, and that's if you have found a very effective way to make your customers more successful.
Exactly. Back to basics. So we've decided to call this conversation North Star, but maybe you have another title you want to give for this conversation.
North Star is fine, I think.
Okay, let's jump to it. So it's coming from another amazing LinkedIn post that you've made, which was about what customers are looking for, and it was 3 topics or 3 objectives they might want to pursue. Do you want to quote them?
Yes, so customers buy a product because they want to increase their revenue, reduce their costs, or improve their productivity.
Exactly.
And also their personal goals or the quality goals that are aligned to these outcomes. So we are also talking about customer pain points. So if we take away these pain points, the customer is really free of pain. So however the customer for him or herself defines it. So maybe they sleep better, and that's the goal is they want to sleep better because they are so more productive and don't have to worry about so many things.
Exactly.
So we should not forget in the end, we are working with humans. Humans always have personal and emotional goals for themselves. So it's really never about the numbers. So even if you help a customer double their sales, they don't care about the number, but they care about the meaning of the number. So the number maybe means they get a raise, they get promoted, or simply they get a bonus payment and can buy the house of their dreams or something like this.
So, I think it's really important. Just stop numbers, stop vanity metrics, just look at how to solve the pain point and the pain point could be solved if you succeed to increase revenue, decrease the cost, increase productivity. So that's exactly that. So my question is, so obviously it could be translated in every single era of your life, but when you are a customer success manager, when you are in a SaaS company or in any company actually, how can you translate that for your customers? You cannot, let's be honest, you cannot just go during the kickoff calls, the onboarding call, and say, hey, do you want to increase your cost? Do you want to increase your revenue, decrease your cost, increase your productivity? How can you translate that? And how can you translate that into a customer for the customer?
So ideally, the customer success manager does not do the discovery.
Let's be honest.
What customers want that usually should be covered during the sales process or even earlier. So the ideal solution would be if customers come to a website and understand within a few seconds if what you're offering is what they want. That's the most simple part. But the latest step in the process where it should be completed should be sales. Why? Because if it's the CSM, and some companies, they still use that practice. If the CSM does the discovery and finds out, okay, we can't deliver what these customers want, you will have churn. It's inevitable.
I agree.
And you have spent money on acquiring churn.
Markus, I do agree with you 100%. However, if collaboration and sales and CS would exist, I would also own my own unicorn by now. So what's happening? Like, let's suppose that we know that the customer wanted the product, but we did not identify exactly his pain point. So we have to do the discovery, because that's the reality. Ideally, I agree with you, but the reality is not that. So what can we do?
Yeah, if the discovery has not been covered by sales, of course, you need to do a second discovery, or let's better say a first discovery as customer success manager. Yeah, and the best way to find out what customers want and then where they are now is to have an open conversation. So a big problem I see in customer success is this insane addiction to scaling things. But you can't scale everything.
Okay.
I mean, scaling is nice from your point of view, but it rarely gives you the insights you need to make customers highly successful.
Okay. Not sure it's serving my purpose as a digital customer success, but I'll buy it. So you have to get a discussion with your customer or with your prospect during the sales cycle and ask what are you pursuing, and ideally once you have solved the first issue or the first pain point, you will discover another one, and by that you will solve one of the 3 points: increase revenue, decrease cost, increase productivity, or the 3 of them. The next question would be, why does it matter to understand these specific pain points? For the CSM, I mean.
Yes, of course, the CSM is the person who is in charge of the final delivery. So,
but why does it matter? Why?
The CSM is literally the bridge builder between the customer's status quo and where they want to go. So basically, the gap between now and then is your customer success plan. And your mission is to put out the services and then give the customers the input and help them build the knowledge and skills to successfully construct that bridge and be able to move to the other side, to the promised land.
Okay.
And in order to do that, you must have sufficient knowledge about the customer. You need to understand, okay, what skills do they possess? What knowledge do they possess? What resources do they have available?
So you have an understanding about what the customer wants to achieve. So which mountain he wants to reach or which bridge he wants to go through. And you also, during the discovery call, the second discovery call, the target for you is to identify the field, the land he's at now, meaning what the current skills, what the current knowledge, how the team is, so you can personalize the journey and the map being the success plan. Is that correct?
Yes. So the CSM, in a best case scenario, the CSM already has some knowledge about the customer from sales. Mm-hmm. And your mission is to dive deeper into the matter and ask more specific questions, like during the onboarding. So to find out, okay, what is the most urgent thing? What's the thing the customers need to do first and to accomplish first?
We may have multiple users within an account who have different goals. How do you deal with that?
So ideally, you should be able to help all of the stakeholders on the customer side achieve their goals.
But success,
of course, they can be different, but they should be connected. So if you have different users, let's say in sales or something, their goals should be related to the sponsor's goal, of course, or the company's goal or the customer company's goals itself.
Let's say that we identify with the champion or with the decision maker what's the company objective, then we articulate that and we communicate that to the different contexts within the account, and we try to understand how they can translate the company goal to their personal objective. Correct? Perfect.
Exactly, yes. That's
okay.
A great summary.
So I understand the success plan. I understand the importance of the onboarding, understanding the current field they are in, so we can define the map being the success plan. Now, how can you use this North Star during the entire customer journey? Like, for instance, during the adoption or during the retention, advocacy. Well, you know the customer journey. I'm not gonna draw it for you, but how can you use this North Star during the entire journey and for all the personas?
So I'm a big fan of the reverse engineering approach. So I like to take this North Star and implement all the steps back to where they start now. So that includes the tasks they need to complete, the problems they need to solve, the knowledge they need to acquire in order to be able to complete these tasks and solve their problems. So it's really I like to think about customer success as a joint project between you and your customer. So there are specific steps that needs to be taken, and it's also important to communicate, to be transparent, and to include feedback, and but also to build accountability. So your customers also need to participate.
Obviously.
That's the important part. So if customers are not willing to invest the time, the product, the project and the outcome will be delayed, or even you will never achieve your goal.
We have a starting point, we have an ideal end goal, which would be solve the issue, and these 2 points are separated by different tasks to accomplish, and this would animate your customer journey for all users. Is that correct?
Exactly.
But what you also said was that you were not a big fan of scalability. But once you understand your ICP, your starting goal, so who can you accept as a customer, and you know that your problem, your solution can only solve specific goals. And in order to achieve that, you have several touch points or several communication or achievement or tasks to be completed. Why do you say it cannot be digitalized? Because it seems once you understand the process, seems to be you can do that.
So let me tell you a little story. So one question I really like to ask all CS leaders and CSMs I'm talking to is, do you know whether your customers achieve their goals? And 9 out of 10 don't know. They just assume because they don't get a lot of support tickets, because customers didn't churn, because customers never complain, stuff like this. But that's just assuming and guessing, and they don't know. But what they do is they are scaling their efforts. But if you don't know if your customers are successful, why do you scale your efforts? Because you don't know if the inputs you're delivering to the customer, let's say you create some kind of content, a webinar, tutorials, whatever. But if you don't know whether they take your customers to the goal, what's the point of scaling them? So you're maybe scaling something that doesn't work. But because you didn't go deep enough in your analysis, you don't know.
How do we know a customer is successful?
I would like to add another thing, because you've mentioned earlier that my point of view is that a lot of things in customer success are too complex. And this is another one. We have, I don't know how many metrics to measure customer success, but we are measuring it from our internal point of view, not from the customer point of view. So we create health scores based on our own assumptions and say, okay, this is a healthy customer, this is not a healthy customer. But we're not measuring the most important thing, the customer's success itself. So if the customer comes to improve the productivity, that's what we need to deliver, and that's what we need to measure. So if the customer's goal is to improve productivity by 20%, we need to find out, okay, has the customer achieved the goal? Or at least, did we contribute in the right way to have the customer achieve that goal? Because there could, of course, be other impacts on the customer outcomes, of course.
You're jumping too fast to my next question. How do you know the customer achieved his goal? Because I understand you said the objective of the customer could be increase revenue by 20%, but most of the time you do not have this information within the software. How do you know that?
So ideally, to me, you have a kickoff meeting with the customer where you clearly define all the aspects of your relationship. So you discuss and talk with the customer, okay, what needs to be done first? What do they exactly need? How do they want to communicate with you, etc., etc. And one part is, okay, to ask, how do we measure the success of our joint project? And then the customer says, okay, we want to have 20% improved productivity in what area they ever want. Maybe it's sales productivity or developing features faster or whatever. And then you have regular meetings with your customer where you discuss, okay, what's the progress and how can we move on further? And ideally, the customer says to you, yeah, it's been great. We've already hit the 20% goal 3 months before year end or something like this. So it's great. I want to buy more from you. So that's ideally. But maybe your customer says, okay, yeah, we've achieved only 5% so far. We need to change some things. But the easiest way is always to talk with the customer. But that's again where comes the addiction to scalability, because no one wants to invest the time to have these conversations with the customers. I mean, there is the option to do it on scale. Yes, you can ask your customer inside your product already. So I've signed up for some products where I get stupid questions about like what industry I am, how big is my company, and whatever. So if you can ask these pointless questions that you probably use for your internal statistics, you can also ask the customer, what do you hope to achieve? What do you want to do first? How can we best help? So there are chatbots and stuff like this you can use to operate at scale. But more quality, I'm still convinced, more quality of insights you get from personal conversations. Yeah. Because then you can ask specific follow-up questions. And no matter how good your chatbot is designed, you won't ever catch all of these possibilities.
One thing I'm remembering from my high touch experience is when I show up doing a QBR, well prepared, or having my decks, super happy that all the person invited to the QBR attending to the meeting, which was already a success for me. And when I ask them, did you achieve the objective, or where are you for the milestones? They don't have the information. They don't want to communicate, or they say they don't have access to it. And therefore, it's so complicated because you don't have any access to it. You do not know the progress. And the only thing you can measure is, are you happy with the product, which is completely useless. And unfortunately, it seems to me that a lot of CSM are facing this. How do you deal with that? Because you cannot force customers to look at their numbers.
So a big part of having these customer relationships is trust and transparency. So everybody in SaaS talks about customer success managers need to become trusted advisors, but no one talks about how you do that.
Exactly.
So that's what I've mentioned earlier. So for me, the ideal start of the relationship is to have some kind of kickoff meeting where you really ask the customer intelligent questions about their business, and otherwise listen to them. So if you let your customers talk, they will build trust much better, because if you do all the talking, you talk about the company and what you do. But if the customer says, okay, we have this problem and this problem, they feel heard, and then they will build trust much easier with you. So and the second part is those QBRs. I mean, no one likes them. Why? Because they are kind of static, and they feel like chores. But you can make them about the customer as well. So I really don't believe in QBRs. I believe in follow-up meetings where you discuss progress, obstacles, unexpected obstacles that appeared that have not been on the radar in the beginning. So that may cause you to need to adapt your customer success plan. So it's really so important to engage the customer and make it all about the customer, and really make it a conversation instead of doing a presentation and showing them the metrics you have collected that they don't care about.
Okay, so let's go back on earth for a second, and because everything you said is amazing, but of course it's ideal. Reality, unfortunately, is different from now. Unfortunately, for a lot of CS have no idea what the pain point of the customer is. They have no idea what the goal is, their skills, their knowledge, the possibility. So the question that I have for you now, and don't worry, it will be my last one, is what can they do after listening to this conversation to go back to take the right steps and to start their journey again as they should have done since the beginning?
Yeah, so the most important thing is to understand that you can't pull a switch and things completely change within an hour or one day. So you need to go about step by step. So if you start tomorrow and have one conversation with a customer and proceed the way I've outlined on relationships and being in a project with the customer, and have these follow-up meetings to talk about progress, you will learn how to do it, and you will also make more impact. And then of course you will there we are again. Then you will scale that effort and then do it for more customers. I mean, despite the fact that it's not really scaling, because you are taking individual care of the customer. But we need to think about progress and not changing things from one day to the other. And most importantly is the CSM. The CSM sits at the end of the customer life cycle, and we need to start much earlier. So if we want to make the life of a CSM more like the situation I've explained, to have these customer relationships and conversations, companies need to reconsider their approach to growth. So in SaaS, still most companies, they are all about quantity. So they spend so much money on acquiring new customers, and they really don't care whether these customers come with such low conversion rates and high churn rates and stuff like this. But we need to change that, and we need to go about quality, because that's how the SaaS business model even works. So you can sell all you want, but if you have a low retention rate, your business can't survive, because it takes time to get your money back, the money you've spent on acquiring customers. It's really simple. The SaaS business model, the subscription model, it's built on renewals and of course of growth as well, so growing existing customers. That's the most important thing. So yesterday I've put out a post on LinkedIn where I've recently discovered that Salesforce in 2020 made 73% of the new revenue from existing customers.
Obviously. Yeah, I agree.
That's incredible.
Exactly. Okay.
There are many other examples. Top SaaS companies that make an insane amount of money from existing customers. I mean, in fact, they make much more money than most SaaS companies will ever do in their whole lifetime in 1 year from existing customers. So we really need to change how these businesses operate and switch it on building really long-term customer relationships and long-term customer success, because that's how you create a profitable business. And also, as research clearly shows, you drive the valuation of a company.
I agree.
So the higher your net retention rate becomes, the more valuable your company becomes.
I 100% agree. So thank you so much, Markus. To end this conversation, first, I would like to advise everyone who was listening and anyone who would reference our conversation to someone else to check your LinkedIn feed, because everything you'll post is gold. Also, check your white book. Is there any additional resource that you produced that we can have a look at?
Yes, so I've recently started to build my own learning platform on Gumroad. So just Markus Rentsch, Gumroad. So there you can find the ebook I wrote. You can find a guide to eliminate churn in a sustainable way, and also join my platform for continuous learning, where I go into full detail about all the things I'm talking about.
Awesome. So I will have a look at it right now, and I will also put it in the link. Thank you so much, Markus. Have a nice day.
Thanks for inviting me and for your kind words.
Bye.